And there were sisters resentful of her. Be resentful of the system. Be resentful of the folks, primarily the white folks, who basically disenfranchised y'all all of these years before she came along.
Stephen A. Smith has once again entered the conversation, forcefully criticizing the unjust backlash aimed at Caitlin Clark. His latest remarks have stirred major reactions across the sports world, as he spoke candidly and didn't hold back, calling out critics who continue to target Clark simply for being a white player succeeding in a league predominantly made up of black women.
So we're talking about a predominantly black female league with the WNBA, but somehow Caitlin Clark is exercising some kind of white privilege within the league, even though she is in the minority. And I find this so interesting because Caitlin Clark has had a roller coaster of a ride within basketball, and she's really shown before the WNBA and through the WNBA as a player of merit and value that has nothing to do.
Stephen A. didn't direct his criticism at Caitlin herself, not at all. Instead, he focused on the broader system, the WNBA, and the surrounding culture of women's basketball, which he argued has been fueling resentment in the wrong areas. Staying true to his usual style, Smith suggested that some women were harboring frustration toward Clark, but emphasized that their anger is misplaced. Rather, he argued that resentment should be aimed at the system, and especially at those largely white decision-makers who marginalized them long before Clark ever entered the picture.
Who denied you the acclaim and the allure and the profits you richly deserved. But you don't take that out on Caitlin Clark. Not her. She's the one that assists you.
Can you believe it? A lot of people, especially her critics, are still upset with Caitlin simply because of her race. It really makes you wonder how far that kind of bias goes, considering she's consistently proven herself and silenced every doubt placed in front of her. The controversy has flared up again following her being named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, an honor many see as fully deserved for someone who has elevated women's basketball to new levels.
My channel, we have gone over all of the stats, all of the numbers, all of the reasons why I think Caitlin Clark is already one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, purely for the fact of what she has done on the court and also the kind of eyeballs that she has brought to a sport that really never had this kind of fame behind it, this kind of fandom behind it. She brought all of those things.
Rather than bringing fans together in celebration, the announcement has instead sparked a wave of criticism.
Why?
Because Caitlin Clark's success as a white player in a league largely made up of black athletes has become a point of controversy. As a result, her accomplishments have been pulled into a broader racial debate, even though Clark herself has gone out of her way to recognize and speak about her own privilege.
Caitlin Clark, all right? The Indiana Fever star was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year earlier this week, and she took time to acknowledge that race played a role in her success this year.
She has even gone as far as acknowledging what many describe as her white privilege, seemingly aligning herself with critics and addressing those expectations head-on.
That's this year. Here's a passage from the article in Times Magazine. Quote, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a...
And here's what makes it even more striking. She didn't actually need to say any of that. She wasn't obligated to apologize for her success, yet she chose to anyway. She tried to meet critics halfway, acknowledging those who came before her and the foundation they built. But despite that effort, she continues to face intense backlash. It leaves her in a difficult position, where no matter what she does, the criticism doesn't seem to ease up.
And a lot of the things stemming from Caitlin Clark's Time Magazine interview, I could have never guessed that that interview would stir up so much controversy. The unfortunate part about all of this is that a lot of these people with these really strong and really dumb opinions unfortunately happen to work within the WNBA or be a part of the WNBA. And what they are doing is creating this, casting this negative light on pretty much the entire league.
That's correct. Many critics, some of them even connected in different ways to the WNBA ecosystem, are frequently seen criticizing Caitlin Clark and questioning her rise. But Stephen A. Smith strongly pushed back against that narrative, and many agree with his point. He highlighted what he sees as hypocrisy in the situation, asking why Clark, who has clearly boosted the visibility and popularity of women's basketball, is being singled out for criticism. In his view, Clark isn't the issue. The deeper problem, he argues, is a system that has historically failed to properly support and elevate Black women in the sport. As he summarized it, the frustration should be directed at that system, not at an individual player.
See why I had no problem with her being Times Athlete of the Year? You see why I said that she should have been on Team USA? You see why I had to go off on the likes of Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her?
Stephen A. Smith isn't holding back. He's making it clear that he has consistently supported Caitlin Clark, even during moments of controversy like the Olympic team selection debate and the Cheryl Swoops situation. He points out that while many were criticizing her early on, he stood by her potential. In his view, Clark has repeatedly validated that confidence by continuing to perform and succeed despite the criticism she's faced along the way.
There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid. Because when she came into the WNBA, for 22 plus years, they had been flying commercial. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights. She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn, but clearly things are on an upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it.
That's right. Caitlin Clark's arrival has coincided with major boosts in the league's visibility, including increased TV ratings, higher attendance, and broader commercial attention, alongside developments like expanded travel resources, such as charter flights. From this perspective, Clark didn't create any existing inequalities or internal dynamics within the league, nor did she shape how media narratives are built around players. Those structural and marketing decisions rest with the WNBA and its long-standing approach to promoting its talent. Critics of the league argue that for years it has struggled to consistently elevate its Black stars to the same mainstream visibility, and now that Clark has drawn massive attention, the focus on her is being treated as controversial, something they say reflects deeper issues in how the league markets itself rather than anything she has done personally.
In fact, if we're looking at Caitlin Clark and some of her most famous, or shall we call it infamous, moments with other players and fights and battles, it seems like a lot of the pushback that she's received, a lot of the controversy that she finds herself in, has to do with other players on the team having a problem with her being white and her having that merit and value that she is now bringing to the Indiana Fever.
For years, women's basketball players, particularly Black athletes, have had to fight hard for recognition, fair compensation, and proper respect. According to this perspective, they helped build the foundation that the current era of popularity now rests on. That legacy isn't something placed on Caitlin Clark personally, but rather the result of a system that only recently began investing more attention after decades of limited support. At the same time, Clark is also portrayed as someone who isn't simply benefiting passively. She has reportedly spoken in support of elevating and recognizing her peers. Yet, instead of being widely praised for that stance, she still faces criticism. To supporters of this view, the situation feels inconsistent and unfair.
A rising tide lifts all boats. She's trying to be the rising tide that lifts the boats. And there were sisters resentful of her.
Caitlin Clark has become a symbol of what many see as the system's long-standing issues, not because she demanded attention, but because she earned it through performance and hard work. Critics argue she's being unfairly blamed for problems that existed long before her arrival, including how the WNBA has historically struggled to market and elevate its own stars. Supporters say the real issue lies in the league's past approach, not in Clark herself, who continues to handle the pressure with composure and even shows respect for her fellow players despite the criticism she receives.